Hi everyone. Wow, I'm really happy to do this interview today with my dear friend and colleague Fiona Craig. And so, little short introduction. Fiona, you're an author, a life balance coach, and you're based in Sydney. And I know you have a background in NLP, meta life coaching, Gestalt psychotherapy, and you also run your own coaching and mentoring programs, as well as something I love, the Women's Success Circle. So that's the introduction for Fiona, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Siwing. Thank you for having me today.
Great. And also we have a guest appearance, Buddy at the background. As you can see, is a I don't think he's a puppy. It's a mature
Yeah, he's
doggy.
an 8-year-old. He's an 8-year-old cavoodle.
Yeah, sleeping at the background for those who are
sleeping in the background. He thinks he's part lion because he likes to be up on the cushion. So as much as I try and arrange the cushion to look perfectly symmetrical, he likes his side. He will go and actually push it down and go and sit on top of it like a lion. That's what he loves to do.
Well, it reminds me of my daughter, as in, first of all, she go around the house and go, wow. I don't know why. And she does the same thing, like arrange the cushions and jump on top of the sofa. So you cannot expect a house 100% the way how you like it when you have furry friends or little people.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'd rather have a home and a happy home where everyone feels comfortable, as opposed to having a house and gardens home where I feel like, oh, I'll break that. Oh, don't touch that. So it's all good.
And it's funny because I know a bit we're off tangent to stuff for people listening, but actually I think one of the themes that will come through in today's interview is about, how life unfolds in a way that may be unexpected. And you don't have 100% control most of the time. You can do your part, but you can't just like say the cushion has to look this way. And it turns out very differently. So well, I guess it kind of fit into the theme, and I'm going to elaborate on that because I know of Fiona story a little bit more about than some of the audience. So, but first up, I want to talk about, I recently attend one of your Women's Success Circle, and I really loved it because I know that, you wrote about, when you put up an event, she says about uplifting and empowering other women. But like a lot of people say that, but when you go there, it felt very different. And you may not true to the words sometimes. I think some of the networking event, it's very like speed dating and not so comfortable sometimes. But I found your event very personal, and people are very honest, and they share the story and the tips, and it was really amazing. So thank you for hosting those events. And how do you like your events, by the way?
Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for those kind words. And I'm so glad that that's the experience you had, because when I started creating Women's Success Circle, it was all about the experience. And I think exactly what you're saying, we get a kind of a bit lost and have other intentions. And my intention always for Women's Success Circle was to bring heart-centered women together. And so more women, I guess, that are looking for friendships, and they're looking for support, and they're looking for authentic, honest dialogues. So I guess you can already hear that I've been a therapist, and I am a therapist. So that comes through. But I know, because I'd been to many events, and I just felt that it was very fake and just not. It was not about the people. There were other intentions. So I'm really glad, because Women's Success Circle is honestly about supporting other women. And so all the guest speakers I choose are women that have that similar intention, that they have a message, something important they want to share with other women. They want to inspire and connect. I'm thrilled that you're going to be the next guest speaker.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
In March, and I just put a lot of work into the events. So it just from the concept and just collaborating with the speaker. I think it's important that the speaker also gets a good experience, and that they feel that their values are aligned with my values, and that we are co-creating something, and I find it very exciting. And then whoever comes on the day is just meant to be there, and I think it is about creating a warm, safe place so people can put their hand up and speak to the speaker and share a personal story. I do have guidelines on my meetup group because I think it's important that people know that when they are coming to Women's Success Circle, that they will be safe and that their confidentiality is assured, and they're not going to have be recruited or poached or spammed or sold to. All those kind of things that sometimes you can get at networking marketing events. That it's a really a nice place. So really I definitely go. Oh, good. I tend to go over more in quality rather than quantity. So I hold 3 a year. And then I sprinkle some free events like Vivid. We had a couple of ladies come along to Vivid, and I think it's just nice. And there are a lot of women out there that sort of feel a bit different. They might be more sensitive and just want, just looking for a good friendship. So, and of course I get career women, mums, people that have just moved to Sydney.
That's what I want to say, because on that day, so there's entrepreneurs, there are very successful career women, but there are people who, taking a slower pace, working from home mom, but, still want maybe come back to workplace, or, people at different walks of life. And I think they're looking for a group that they can share, learn something useful, inspiration and friendship, as you said. Some of the events you're only going for marketing, or you're going for social media, it becomes more work related. But then sometimes, the conversation and things you get out of those events, that's very valuable information as well, but it's quite different. So that's why I think it's very enjoyable, because, there's a lot more potential to grow from that. So that's why. Yeah. So let's get back to Fiona, because I read about her and I talked to her. So I'm really keen to hear a little bit more about your background story, so to speak. Because I know that when you started, it's such a beautiful story, because you were like a glamorous young girl, and then modeling, working in a very different industry. And then now you're women who coach and mentor other women to have a more balanced life. Because it sounds like, I don't know about you, but I worked in the film industry for a few years, and I think balance isn't a word there. They don't expect you to have work-life balance. This is a joke. They demand you to dedicate your entire self. And to be honest, when I was working in that industry, I found everyone around me either getting divorced or never have a boyfriend. Okay, a little bit weird here, but I found it was very hard for women, especially if you want to get ahead. So anyway, your story, tell us. How did you come
it was
from
a tough
that
time.
to coaches?
Oh, well, yes, it's quite interesting. I think I started off with modeling only because my mum said, you should be a model. And I think when I was young, I was very impressionable, really up until the age of 30. I tended to do what people said, what they thought was best for me. And that's normal, because we trust people. So, I trusted my parents and thought, oh, that was good. But oh God, did I hate that. Plus I was too short. I'm only 5'6".
Well,
so
Moss is 5'7".
I know, but there's kind of like one in a millions, and it just was not going to happen, and I hated the focus on my looks. So I moved into advertising, which is behind the camera, which is quite exciting, being a TV production coordinator, because I got to use all my organizational skills, and I've always been a really good organizer. I'm such a list girl, and I really like that end of the day when you've ticked a couple of things off, and I like planning. So I did really well in that job, but nowhere else to go but being a TV producer. And I wasn't passionate about making commercials. I just enjoyed my role, and I got to meet a lot of people. And it was the 80s, and it was very much a lot of fun and a lot of parties. And so I moved away from that. And my parents said to me, well, you're good at selling. Why don't you take a career doing something like, what do you sell? What do you love? And I said, I love jewelry. I love fashion. So then before you know it, I was on a plane to Los Angeles, and I spent a year studying diamond grading and jewelry design. And then Yeah, it was a great year in LA. It was so much fun. So here I am, 24, and having the best time of my life. And
You were in
then
the UK before when you were doing the advertising, wasn't it?
no, I was in Australia at Ogilvy and
Australia.
Mather in North Sydney.
Oh, and then you go to LA.
And then I
Wow.
go to LA, and then it's from LA after I graduate that I realize, oh, I've got UK ancestry. I could go to London. And I remember being in the campus where you study your jewelry and diamond grading and looking at the library at some of these beautiful jewelry books, where like the sultans and, all these people buying these huge rocks, for their wives and stuff. And I thought, oh, Garrard, the crown jewel of London. Crown Jewelers of London. Oh my God, I would love to work there. So what did I do? I just wrote a letter and I sent a picture of myself. And before you know it, I had a phone call and I was asked for an interview. So I went from LA, took a flight over to London, but I only had like 2 or 3 weeks and not much money. But anyway, somehow I landed the job. And before you knew it, I was living in a house with 5 Australians and 1 bathroom. We had an egg timer. An egg timer so that we didn't go over our so we could all get up and go to work in the morning. It's hilarious.
Wow.
It was great because the Australians were Brisbane lawyers and we did lots of traveling. I had a wonderful time there. But then I started to get sick. And at first I wasn't quite sure why. And it was the start of chronic fatigue. And there's many different theories about how you get chronic fatigue because there's many different ways. And I think because basically I was a bit of a party girl and I didn't eat well. And I also was very conscious of my weight. So I tended to probably stay on the skinny side and just burn my candle. I was a bit an all or nothing girl. So, and I picked up the Epstein-Barr virus and I couldn't get that out of my system and I progressively got very sick and I spent almost a year in bed in Sydney. So I go back home, I'm a year in bed. And that's really when I stopped to look at my life and just thought, oh, what's going on here? What do I like about it? What don't I like about it? And what am I doing to myself? So I started looking at some counseling because I needed that for myself to change some of these behaviors. And that's when I realized that from the age of 16, I've always loved psychology and always loved understanding about the mind. I always loved understanding behavior, why we do what we do, why do we think the way we think. And so I finally went into my passion, which is what I love as opposed to what other people told me I should do. And that's really the path I've taken since, which is, positive psychology, the counseling, and then the degree then moved into Gestalt Psychotherapy, which is the postgrad qualification. Then that moved into coaching when I started my own business because I didn't want to work in drug and alcohol and mental health. And that's generally where most of the counsellors end up. And I had this idea of starting my own business in something that I'm passionate and the clients that I really want to see. And being a single mum at the time because my marriage had fallen apart. So I thought I'm going to work with women that are struggling with their work-life balance, struggling with their juggling. And so that's how Life Balance Coach was born. But then over time, that's kind of morphed into more about, finding your purpose, finding your authentic self. And so work-life balance, I still get clients asking for work-life balance assistance, but it's a little bit more finding the real you.
Yeah, there's so many interesting thing you just said, but I think one of the thing I find is that you obviously as a woman with courage, you left home, you went to, you work in a very competitive, stressful industry in advertising, and then you went to LA, and then you go to UK with a letter, you just like, oh, I want to do that. Let me try this out. I mean, you just go and get it. And clearly you were very good at marketing or expressing yourself. So, and it's very brave in a way for a young girl to, do so many amazing things. But at the same time, I think it's even braver when you come back home and spend a year to recover and really think what matters to us, because you could have spent your entire life, many people may spend entire lives to trying to do what people think they should do and expect of them, but to take a pause and look really deeply into what you really want to do, sometimes it's the hardest thing, because we may not like to to discover ourselves, because sometimes the truth is actually quite hard to show the world when everybody thought you were the glamour girl, but you're like, no, I actually want to work in psychology. It's a very different direction. And not everyone has the courage to say, listen, this is what I want to do now. And what, act on it. And so many people say they have a dream to pursue, but they keep on finding different reasons to not to pursue it. And it takes more courage to stop and change direction than keep flying high. So I thought it was really interesting story. And you can't control everything. Like, you pick up the virus. Yeah, you would party too much, or maybe, tired. But then it's sort of the life unfold in such a way that you have to make a decision. And often that's really life-changing in that situation.
I think at the very core of all that was a lack of love for myself. So what I think, to heal myself, because not many people heal from chronic fatigue. So I did everything, and I really got into the whole natural therapies thing, meditation, acupuncture, drinking foods, all kinds of things I was doing. And this was back in the early 90s too. So I was very lucky that I was able to heal myself, because I was, but it was interesting. While I was healing myself, I was really noticing my mindset. And what I try and do is every day achieve a little bit more, just to boost my confidence. So it might be, today you're going to go down to the letterbox and get a letter. And then you're going to start doing that every day. And then you're going to start cooking. And then you're going to go on a bus to, and just sort of staying up, just sort of getting out of bed. And so slowly, from being completely, it was those little times where I could go, right, okay, I am getting better. I am making progress. And so I'm a bit like that with my clients. I think it's really good to kind of look back and see how far we've come. And I never berated myself. I never, family around me were a bit hard, like, oh, you should be married now, or you should have kids, because I'm in my, at the time, I was in my early 30s when I was sick with chronic fatigue. But I just thought I'll run my own race. And I was very fortunate that, I did meet somebody, and I've got a beautiful son who's 17. And I've sort of been able to have all the things that mean something to me.
I definitely see, as we, not necessarily growing older or more mature, but as we grow, the question of what really matters to us and what success really means, what makes us happy, becomes such a fundamental question. But sometimes it's so painful to answer, because we created an environment, whether it's work or family, that isn't even like set up for that, because it's someone else's dream. So it can be very challenging to move from one to another. And the thing you mentioned about a lot of people don't heal from chronic fatigue. And I heard that, some people say you can heal, but there are a lot of people who can't. And you think it's related to what you just said about loving yourself, like willing to take that step, or willing to re-examine your life, what really matters?
I think that's exactly what it is. And I think that it was scary, because I realized I was a little narcissistic, and I had some shadow aspects of myself and the things that I didn't like about myself, but it was understanding them and integrating them. And a lot of who I am today, naturally from our parents and some of their experiences and moving around. And, we never really had a base. Being such a Cancerian, I do love my home. My home is so important. But growing up, my dad was moving us every few years. And so I found that quite unsettling, because I'd have to make new friends again and then leave them. And so I went to 4 different primary schools and 4 different high schools. So funny enough, I vowed when I had my son, you will not have that. You will stay in the same, unless it's your choice. But because I always ask him, are you happy? Are you happy at the school? Is things, I always like to check in, that it feels good for him. So it's funny. Yeah, it's funny kind of reflecting back, and you think, are there anything I would have changed? And probably not. I think that everything happens. I am very much of the mind that I'm going to try something. So when I sent that letter off to Garrett, I didn't have an expectation or an agenda or, oh my God, if I don't get this, I'll have to go home and work for Prouds or something. Oh, I just thought, give it a go. I've got nothing to lose. And I have that even with creating Life Balance Coach. I just could not get a job as a relationship counsellor in my area of the eastern suburbs. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And I thought, why didn't I start my own business? So then I had to spend a whole year of learning, you know, website, SEO, marketing, all this stuff. I was like, just, you know, like immersed. I'd watch so many YouTube clips. So I could just understand this amazing world, entrepreneurial world that we live in, and then make a choice about how I want to present myself in this world and what are the things that I like to do and what brings me joy. And so it was sort of been a bit, definitely an interesting sort of journey. And I think that when you have the confidence in yourself that you can, you know, you can do it. Because I love it when people said to me, oh, you won't get on the first page of Google for life coach, or, oh, you won't do that. There's so many people that are so negative. I'm almost like, I'll prove you wrong. I'll get there. I'll get 6 keywords on there. Don't tell me something. Don't tell me something I can't do, because I will then make it my mission to prove to you I can.
That's fantastic. And I definitely believe also incremental, small decisions, small changes, small, like every day, like you go to the letterbox, you know, versus being first page on Google search engine. I mean, you first started to be able to get out of bed and go and get a letter, and then eventually you could achieve all this amazing thing. And I think it's really important. Success doesn't come overnight, and in fact you need to build a foundation of who you are and understand yourself, capabilities, your strength. And you talk about shadow, and you know, to be honest, if you live more than 1 day or 1 inch tall, you will have a shadow. I mean, whether it's that your personality default or flaws or social conditioning or past experience, we can't get away. Like, we will have shadow aspect, but the point is what we're going to do about it, and then how we're going to sometimes learn from it. And that's why your story was fantastic and get you to where you are today, which is, you know, running your own business and, you know, truly honoring, helping other women. And also you wrote about it. I mean, you have a book called Stuck in a Rut. And you know, once again, you were proving people wrong. I'm sure that was part of it, because I know that it won awards. You have a lot of media,
yes.
you know, attention. So tell us, how did you prove them wrong? What did you do?
Oh, that was a funny one too, because when you start this life, you know, this life coach journey, everyone says, have you got a book? And so I thought about it for a long time, and I thought I want it to be something that will really inspire and help women, and not just something as a like a calling card. Because I understand from the marketing perspective, you know, we have a service industry, so having a product is fantastic. And I've never been excited about going down the online program journey. Besides all the technical stuff you have to learn, which would kill me, it's just I'm just all about human connection. So meetups seemed a logical thing for me. But with the book, I actually really enjoyed the whole process. And it started by, I wanted to put together the 12 popular blogs on my website into an ebook. And then that morphed into a book. And I also wanted to add client case studies, so people got to have an insight into how I work with the client and how I combine Gestalt psychotherapy with life coaching. And I actually was really quite sad when I finished it, because it was such a nice process to get up every morning, walk the dog, start at 9. I used to finish at 1. And then, because I'm really good in the mornings, but hopeless in the afternoons. So I used to do that, and then reread what I'd written in the evenings. And it was just so, it was a nice rhythm. And I think Stuck in the Rut came to me because I got so many email inquiries. Hi, Fiona, I'm stuck in a rut. I've got 2 kids and, you know, I don't know what to do and this and that, or I'm in a job I don't like, or I've just, you know, I can't seem to achieve my weight loss goals. I'm feeling stuck. So this word just kept coming to me, stuck, 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 stuck. And then the how to rescue yourself and live your truth, the end part of the book, just came to me one day. I was literally walking and I thought, I've rescued myself. I think I want to really empower women to rescue themselves, because we can only rescue ourselves, whether it's in a bad job or a bad relationship. It just requires us to immobilize, requires us to be willing to change. And change is difficult, scary, and it's painful sometimes.
Mm. And so I can agree with you more 100%, because when I work on my book, I also really enjoyed it. And I think, marketing, calling card, and nothing wrong with that. But actually, if it is really your heart calling, it becomes so much more enjoyable than just trying to pump out 2,000, 4,000 words a day. And it took me very little time to actually write a book, because I already got the material. I also, like you, enjoyed the writing. And for those who say, I'm too busy, I get up at 5 and then do an hour, and sometimes half an hour, whatever you can grab. But if you've got something you really want to do, and you just have to make use of small chunk of time, and believe me, they do add up, and they will become a book. Because some people think, you need the luxury for 4 hours in a day to sit down, have a cup of tea, and write a book. Often a lot of authors that I know don't have that. You have 30 minutes here, an hour there, 20 minutes here. But it can really work. So for those if you were wondering, go for it. Because you got me and Fiona both saying that we really enjoy writing the book. It's not a painful thing. I really enjoy it. And I think a lot of authors I talk to find it quite therapeutic, because a lot of nonfiction authors have their own journey and they want to share the message and the lessons. And that's why it's another therapeutic thing for us to do, but also helping others. So I really
think so
like
too. And I had the option of actually speaking my book out. So one of the chapters, I actually did that. And because my book had a sort of a template, a what, why, and how. So each chapter is the same, and that makes it very easy. So then I'd use headings. So it's a bit like, when I get when you've done academic and you've written degree and you've written lots of essays, for me, it made it easier to write. But I did try a chapter of speaking it out, and it just wasn't as successful. So I think I just enjoyed the whole process, sitting in front of the laptop with a cup of tea and writing. And other times, but then I'd cut and paste. So I don't know if this is good to know for other people, but I'd write and then I'd go and have a shower, or something would happen. I go, I forgot, I should add that in. And so then before you know it, I had Post-its or little things. I had my notebook in the shower. When I was washing my hair, I'd get some great ideas, or I'd remember, that's right, that client did this. I should incorporate that case study in that chapter. And it was so funny. But then I was just so into that world. I'm lucky I didn't get run over by a car or something, because I'd be thinking and thinking and thinking, but positively, not obsessively, but just enjoying the whole thinking and, I want to add that in and take that out. And so, but I did go through a publishing house in Melbourne, because I didn't have the confidence in terms of editing my book. And it was nice to hand over my manuscript to someone to read through and give me a lot of pointers and things. And then recently I've re-edited. I've done, another edition. And therefore I've added bonus chapter on when you're stuck in a career rut, which is a bonus chapter called Find Your Dream Career. Because after I wrote the book, which was 2014-15, I do have a lot of clients coming to me in career ruts, or transitions in their career. And so I added that chapter in, and I took a few little things out. And it's kind of good, because when you have your own book, you can play with it.
And I have to say, nonfiction works very differently from fiction. And I think with nonfiction, sometimes we have to update it because we have more story or new tools and ideas, and we evolve. And so, there's good and bad things. The good thing is that you make the book even richer and better in many ways. But the downside is that sometimes you just have to do something with this product. It doesn't, you know, just sit there and that's it, like a fiction. But I do really enjoy writing and publishing the book. But tell us a little bit more about, you know, getting awards, the media attention, and all that kind of stuff, because I think you did extremely well with it. Tell us a little bit tips or lessons, whatever that you can share.
Well, I think that's really just a fluke, and just, I don't know, I'd be on Facebook. Well, you know, I'd be on Facebook and then someone would have, I've won an award. And I think, oh, you can win awards for books. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, I'd see awards, like you go to a bookstore and you'd see a nice little silver badge on something. Go, oh, so I did a little bit of research and I found all these, I guess, contests or places which you can submit books. So I was very excited. I was a winner for one, and then I was a finalist for two others, Book Varna and International Book Awards. So that was exciting, and I enjoyed doing that. And then I thought, I wonder how do you get your books in bookstores? Well, then I found out about Woods Lane, and they're a distributor. So I contacted them and I sent them copies of my book. So really it's again that whole thing of like that letter to go and work to Garrard and go and work in London. I said, well, you got nothing to lose. All you're just going to get is, why not give it a go? The only thing I probably wish I'd spoken up earlier about was my original book cover, because it had me on the cover. And so it created a bit of mixed messages. I'm really happy with my new cover, which surprisingly I found through a Canva template, and it's the pink of my website is the color of your wall. It's the beautiful color behind you. I love that pink. And so I rebranded last winter and made everything pink, and I decided I don't really want to work with men anymore. I only ever had 3 men a year. In fact, it was quite funny, but I thought I'm really going to give you all a message. I'm just going to pink it out and really bring some of that divine feminine energy into my work. And so that's why I sort of decided to re-edit and redo everything. And I think it's important to refresh, and it felt good. It felt like another spring.
Yeah, and I do think that, you know, as we grow, we fine-tune and change directions, and it's nice to freshen things up from time to time. And book cover is such an important thing for those of you, again, who are interested in working on a book. Like, you know, the sentence of people don't judge the book by the cover is not true. People do. And
they do.
Having a good cover, it's very important. But also, you know, if you're having a series of books, it's even better to have like a theme or aligned design, so people can recognize this is the same, you know, author. And if you feel drawn to in every few years that you may update your book cover that is more aligned with your current branding, it's also very clever to do, because it's again freshening up and boost sales. So yeah, that's really good on you. And I have to say that the fact that you often just go cold turkey, why not? I'm just going to write a letter, I'm going to apply, and here you go, and you get it. And I think a lot of us stop us in the front door because, what if we get rejected? Oh, what if they don't like it? That this what ifs becomes never. And I think it's such a good lesson.
Us. Yeah. They do. They become the blocks and the barriers for realizing our own potential. And a common thing I get is, I've got nothing to say, or I'm not good enough, or why would someone buy a book from me, or why would this, or why. And so there's a lot of people put themselves down, and then they overthink it and start going, well, I've got to be like, and they mention some superstar or mention some, you know, mega entrepreneur. And I know that mega entrepreneur probably started their first blog with one reader. My first reader was my dad. Everyone starts somewhere, you know, and it's that whole building up. So, and I never went from the point of achieving something. I always come from a space of joy and fun. So if it's not fun, I will stop doing it.
And that's so important, because that gives us you know, the freedom to try things out and not thinking so much about what if I didn't get it. And but if you don't try, you never know. And I think some people say, well, if I don't try, I never know, then I would never prove wrong, rejected, or fail. But, you know, so many of us try different things and didn't make it. And you know, in 10 years' time, you look at what you have achieved, not the things that you try and didn't make it, right? And still, if you look at the numbers, if I try 10 things, 2 things succeeded, I still 2 things succeeded, you know. So I think that's such an important thing, and good on you to really like show us life example about how that can really change your life, or just having more fun as well. And I think that's incredibly important.
It has to organically grow. I mean, my Women's Success Circle now is over 300 members, but once upon a time there were 12. And my very first workshop was in a juice bar, and I ran that, and I just brought topics. So every month someone would come and there'd be topics. And then things started getting a little bit bigger, and I thought, oh, I'll just go to the Radisson. And so then we're in the lounge room and having high tea. And then from there, I saw the events room. So everything just organically grows. And I think that's a nice pace for me too, because I'm not someone that will just take charge and tomorrow you'll see me on the project. Or, you know, I build. I like to build up, and I'm building my own confidence. And I feel that that's what I gently support my clients to do, is to not go so far and take a leap of faith. It just doesn't work for me.
and also for people who are listening, like if you only have 2 people coming to your group or on your online program or whatever, you know, some of this mega success story, now there are hundreds and thousands of people in the members group or whatever, but they start with a couple, and sometimes they're more facilitator than the participant. But you kind of have to kind of keep going and learn from the mistake and fine tune it. And if you get discouraged by not having 50 people show up in your first event and you give up, then, you know, chances are it's very hard to build something that have a strong foundation. So everybody goes through it, and don't see it as a failure and really just discouraged, because like what Fiona said, it started small, but that's organically growing, and that's how everything is like, really.
And yeah, exactly what you said. And I think it's that mindset. So when I did have a few people come to the meeting, and it was, well, that was fine for me, because I wasn't expecting much more. I wasn't comparing myself. And I think that's another thing. We have comparison analysis, or kind of, you know, that comparing syndrome where we have to be as good as the next person. Run your own race. I always run my own race, and it just feels so good to be doing it my way. It's empowering for myself, rather than looking over my shoulder and going, oh, how much is that person earning, or what's that person doing? Oh my God, I must go and do that too. I must go and buy that product. And you know, really follow your gut and follow your heart, and just really sit back and go, what's this good? Is this going to be really good for me? So there is a bit of visioning. There's structure and then unstructure. So I do play within this playground, but I also have sort of goals and things that I'm curious about exploring more of. But at the moment, I'm quite settled with what I've got, funny enough. I'm in that phase of like, okay, this is really good. I just keep perfecting it and enjoying it. I don't feel I need to change it all, make it bigger, better, kind of thing.
There's like season of things. There's seasons that some people call it a creative void, where you reflect on your lessons, you rest, you replenish. And then there's a season of lots of ideas, and there's seasons of lots of going out there and spread your ideas. And then there's a season of completing all these ideas and learning from it. So I believe in everything is cyclical. And I also really want to say, I heard someone say it recently about, you do you. Don't try to do someone else, because it's going to make you unhappy and you can never measure. So it's better to just do you. And one last thing. Oh, I wanted to mention, you mentioned that when people, you know, you only have a few people, and don't compare to others. I think one thing is very important to point out, as we both been speaking and doing events, that, okay, even only 2 people, 5 people showed up. Do your best in front of those 5 people. Don't look like, oh my God, there's only 2 of you. Like, people in the audience can feel it. And if you don't bring your top game, and give them
Yes,
give
true.
them the best you can, and show them a face. Oh my God, I'm so disappointed, there's only 4 of you. Like, it's bad for you, it's bad for them, and people can feel it. Even though you pretend. I have been sitting in situation where I could see the performer was disappointed by the audience, whether
so was
not
I.
enough, or maybe we didn't applaud loud enough. And it's really important to know, no matter how many people show up, you show up for yourself. You perfect your work. You give your 100%, and don't just go, oh my God, people knows it. So, and it's really bad habit, and I think it's important to mention it, because I don't want to be sitting in the audience when you showed up and go,
I think that's very true. I'm so glad you say that, Siwing, because I have been to an event and I could just see when it was at the end and he was inviting everyone to take up his program, which was a bit strange because it was a free event and then you're trying to sell sell a $2,000 program. I felt that was, I would have done like maybe a 300 or 400 and then done the 2,000 sort of, you know. But anyway, no one took it up. And then you could just see, you know, you could just, and I just went, wow. And then I could just sense that inner critic, something's going on there, some real negative self-talk where, and then making that about him.
But also we feel uncomfortable as the recipient.
I was feeling really sad. I felt
it's like, oh my God. Like, and I think, yeah, definitely. So anyway, I really enjoy our chat today. And
yeah, me too.
So for people who heard our conversation, say they want to maybe look at your program, your book, or connect with you one-to-one, what's the best way to find you online?
Well, my website, lifebalancecoach.com.au. And that's where you'll find the book and the Women's Success Circle. Everything's in that website.
Great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Siwing. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for your time too.
Thanks.